We got Giancarlo, Jameson, Murphy. They're all taking what they've learned in sim racing and carrying it over into the real world. It's really positive, for the sim racing community as a whole. To see that you got young guys going back and forth between the two and taking a lot of those skills with them, and it's really great to see.
That's right, and I think Jameson Huffman as well, a new rookie racer. We'll see if Morgan Burkhardt joins us later tonight or not. He actually just got his very first win in a real race car just 2 weekends ago at New Jersey Motorsports Park. So congratulations to Morgan. As the checkered flag is now out on qualifying, and Giancarlo Schooler manages to hold on to his pole, unless Murphy Nichols, who's on his last flying lap, currently qualified in 4th position. If he can turn in a burner here and eclipse Giancarlo Schooler, or maybe move up a little bit, maybe move off of row number 2 into and onto row number 1 as he comes down into final corner, down into turn 11, that 90-degree right-hand turn, slowest corner on the course, and starts to make his run down towards the checkered flag. Let's see if he can improve upon his previous best of a 138.3, and no, he does not. Actually, about 13 hundredths of a second off of his previous best. So he's going to remain in 4th position here as he and our other drivers getting ready to line up on tonight's grid. You see they're still waving the checkered flag, I think. Now let's take a look if we have any drivers out. Of course, I think we're still waiting for Juan Chilin to make his way back to the pits, Tyler. But while we get ready, before we head and have our cars head out on the grid, let's talk about our sponsor for tonight's race. That is Grassroots Motorsports Magazine. Built for the true enthusiast, GRM has one mission: to be your personal guide to the sports car world. Whether it's online at grassrootsmotorsports.com, in print or in person, the racers and builders, the car nerds at Grassroots Motorsports, take you behind the scenes and show you how to make your car better. Along the way, they'll give you a taste of everything else this hobby has to offer, from 1,000 horsepower track monsters to cool street cars built in driveways. They also maintain a collection of staff-built project cars, because hands-on technical articles aren't typed behind a desk, they're scribbled down in the garage. To not only read but become part of the story, head on over to grassrootsmotorsports.com, and we're glad to have them back for their 2nd season with us here. And hopefully we'll get JG Pasterjack and a few other folks from GRM to join us on track here as the season progresses. So, Tyler, why don't we run down the starting grid for tonight's race?
Absolutely. So starting on pole with a time of 37.624, you got Giancarlo Schooler. Outside the front row, you have Wan Shi Lin putting in a great time, only a 10th and a half back. Seems like a mile, but that's very close considering the top 3 are only covered by 0.2 of a second. So you got Jameson Huffman behind Giancarlo Schooler in 3rd place. Murphy Nichols following up in 4th place. Then following them, you have Jordy Fike in a Team Esport racer car starting in 5th. You got Beans Forrester, glad to see him here. He's kind of an all-rounder. He starts 6th. You have Sean Hayes. Yep, it's always great to see him. He's great driver, great to drive against. Then in 7th, you have Sean Hayes. In 8th, you got Charles Vaccaro, long-time driver here. Then in 9th, Edgar Sanchinelli. And 10th, as we were talking about in qualifying, Deacon Greenfield. And 11th, we have Greg Bruckaway. And 12th, Joaquin Effinger.
All right, there you go. And of course, we've got Wayne Buttermore and Zach Burke. I believe both of those drivers made the grid as well. Andrew Benna, who we talked about earlier, did not make the grid. We'll see if he joins from the pit lane. I believe he's actually in the session because he is one of our admins tonight. Now, it was interesting as you were running down the grid, Tyler. It looked like Jameson Huffman, who is starting 3rd this evening. He came up, and this is before the pace car even started rolling. Looked like young Mr. Huffman might have jumped the start there. He actually was up ahead of our pole sitter, while all of the other cars, including the pace car, were stationary. I don't think.
I thought I saw some movement out of the corner of my eye. I was like, what is going on down there? What are they doing? And he's
Somebody's
still,
getting a little
yeah,
antsy, and you can see there is Huffman in the Huffman's in the blue with the red striped 89 machine, the second car on your left hand side. Looks like he's trying to bump his teammate Schooler all the way down around the
he's giving
course.
everybody the Verstappen hustle here.
Yeah,
Like, come on, guys,
exactly.
let's go, let's go, let's go. He's either answer, or he's in a really goofy mood. I don't know. We'll see. We've seen their antics before. We'll see if he straightens out and they get some good racing in.
All right, as they come now down through turn 10, still a little straggle, tail end of the field straggling a little bit as the pace car now heads onto the pit lane. They round the corner onto the front straight, just waiting for the green flag as Giancarlo Schooler has the field. Wan Chi Lin off to the right, and it looks like Lin's whole lane there on the right-hand side is falling back about a full car length as we've got lots of passes get made, but also a lot of folks find themselves off in the dirt there. But now, as they come out, they set up for turn number 3. It is Giancarlo Schooler, Jamison Huffman, Wan Chi Lin, who does fall back into third, then Jordy Fike in that gray and white Team Esports Racer machine, and then right behind Jordy Fike, we've got Sean Hayes. Sean in the yellow and black number 94. But at the moment here, nice, clean, and green here. Coming down the inside, it's the 13 machine of Zach Burke, and Burke gets around his teammate Brockway as they now head up the hill and up towards turn 6 in the Ray Hall Straight.
Yeah, and I didn't even notice that until right at the end there of the starting grid. He didn't set a qualifying time, so he's going to be a hard charger through the field for sure. And if anybody noticed, Murphy Nichols was giving Wan Chi Lin a real nice push down there at the start, but he was the big loser in turns 1 and 2, losing out 2 positions and falling to 6th.
There you go. And Murphy Nichols, yeah, as you mentioned, falling back to 6th. Sean Hayes picking up 2 positions, starting 7th, moving up to 5th. As our leaders come out of turn 10. Again, 180 feet of elevation change here from the lowest point down at the Andretti hairpin to the highest point up at the top of the corkscrew here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. And as we complete lap number 1, it is the 111 car of Giancarlo Schooler, then Jamison Huffman, and then Wan Chi Lin. And it looks like Charles Vaccaro, he pulled all the way over driver's left coming out of turn 11. I wonder if he maybe had an off track that he was still trying to from earlier on, from maybe over by turn 10, that he was trying to dispatch and get rid of, and had to let a couple cars by rolling onto the front straight.
Yeah, it's quite possible. I saw them, him and somebody else, I think, were off in the grass coming after the corkscrew, or dirt. There's not much grass here, but anyway.
No.
Yeah, so it could have been something
sand
before
and
that
dirt.
for sure. Yeah, sand and dirt, lots of sand and dirt. The good news is, in these cars, you can very much get away with taking the off track and get back on. So lucky enough for them, it's not too big of an issue, especially with a lot of the dips and the high curves here either.
Yeah. Oh, and you can see right there, going off, going wide. That's Sean Hayes getting it wrong, going through turn number 6. That camber, and it's got that dip down at the apex. And if you get it wrong, you could either go wide off driver's right, or you can hook it left and get into the wall like Sean Hayes did. That is going to definitely affect his evening, but he is now out of the running here. He's going to take his car back to the pits where he can get a fast repair, but it's going to be a couple minutes, Tyler, before he gets all the way back 3/4 of the way around the track here to the pit lane.
Yeah, that's effectively the end of his race. Even if he's back in it, he's just going to do it for pride. I always say you never give up. If you go off, or you have some accident, might as well keep going. The race isn't going to end. Somebody else could race could end. You never know. As you see, Jamison looks like Giancarlo's defending to the inside. Jamison Huffman's going to try to take it to the outside of the Andretti hairpin. It usually doesn't work defending. At the end of the front straight, you think that's probably the best place for an overtake. It is almost the best spot on Laguna Seca.
It's a long way around the outside, though, unless the driver defending to the inside overcooks it, and you can do an over-under coming out underneath him going into turn 3. But that time around, Schooler had it very well positioned and was able to keep the 89 machine to the outside. As now we've got a new second place runner. That's Wan Chi Lin gets around Jamison Huffman, coming out of turn 4, heading into turn number 5 as they head up the hill now. Wan Chi Lin, your new second place runner, but that also gave a little bit of cover to Giancarlo Scoulard, who's opened up a little bit of a gap. I suspect that's probably going to disappear under the draft fairly soon.
Yeah, it is uphill, so there's not as much speed. So we'll see. You give Giancarlo a little bit too much space, he's just going to run away with it as well. He's been insanely quick in the MX-5s and in the iRacing official series, and he also builds setup for these cars as well. So he has a very, very good understanding of the car and the track. So we'll see. We'll see. Once she's yep. And this is Zach Burke, like I mentioned earlier. He's gonna be making a lot of moves here as he works his way to the front.
There you go. Is Burke trying to get underneath Beans Forster in the 231 machine? Beans gave him a little bit of room, but Burke getting loose there in that very tight 90-degree left-hand turn. And one of the features, I guess, Tyler, of this track, never mind all the dirt and sand on the outside, is that this is really a very low grip surface. Has not been repaved in a number of years, and you're always finding drivers that are pulling that sand and dirt onto the track surface as well. So, especially trying to, even with these lower torque MX-5s, trying to dig out of a slow corner like turn 11, kind of difficult.
Yeah, and using the track limits here are actually paramount. Using all of the curb, as you see there, just to get all the way down to the apex and make that the fastest corner speed you can possibly carry, and taking it all the way to the outside of the curb and the exit of the corner. And really, as Giancarlo there kicking it out, almost made the same mistake as Sean Hayes. Luckily he caught it, but yeah, as you see there, they're going to be not necessarily abusing the track limits, but using all of the track, even when it isn't necessarily paved.
Exactly, to going and maximizing the radius around these corners as much as possible. And it looks like Wan Chi Lin, don't know if he got the slowdown or not, going through the corkscrew. Pretty common here in iRacing. If you get it wrong, if you move and drop two wheels over that curbing, the second apex for the corkscrew, you can get a pretty substantial penalty assessed by iRacing. And it looks like he's dropped back as we now, speaking of dropping back, we're taking a look at Murphy Nichols, who is still sitting back in 6th position, but he just gave up 5th to Zach Burke, pardon me. And it looks like Beans Forster, you see that little tap of the brakes. Forster, for a moment there, looked like he was going to try and sneak inside of Nichols going down into the Andretti hairpin, and he's going to have to live the fight either another day or another corner.
Yeah, similar to Wan Chi Lin, and I noticed when we were cutting through there, I saw 4 nice tracks through the dirt and the corkscrew, and I'm assuming that was Wan Chi Lin. That's definitely would have been a slowdown for him, as you see how far he dropped back. And Murphy I think he made a mistake coming through. I think it was the second to last corner, yeah, and really gave the wiggle, and there's Zach Burke, who's just gobbled it right up. He's all the way back to Beans Forrester. So we'll see if he can maintain steady as you see him go wide there. I think he's just struggling with consistency right now with the like you said, the way this track just doesn't really have a lot of grip. You have to nail your apexes and nail your braking points. As you see Jamison actually off through the kink.
That's right. So Huffman now dropping back quite a bit. About a second and a half from our leader, Giancarlo Scoulard. Scoulard now, I think, safely out of draft range. And you can see there as they're making their way down the rainy curve, how big the gap is. And what it's also done is it's pulled both Wan Chi Lin and and Jordy Fike in the 09 machine. It's pulled both of them up much closer to our second place runner, Huffman.
Yep, yeah, it's as I said, Giancarlo's just running his race. With the gap that Wan Chi Lin created basically between the two going off, as you see here, got Beans Forrester overtaking Murphy Nichols. He got the better run out of the final corner. He's going to take it all the way up the straight, all the way down. He's got the preferred line here on the inside, as we talked about, and he's got it done before the corner even starts.
There you go. So now move Beans Forrester up into 6th position. Move Murphy Nichols down into 7th, now having started in 4th, a drop of 3 positions net here as they round turn 3. And looks like Vaccaro, who had those issues early on coming out of our final corner on to complete lap 1, looks like he is now making his way back up as well. Looks like he's going to join in this little battle with Nichols and Forster. And frankly, you look a little further back, Edgar Sanchinelli in the number 57 machine. He is closing things down as well.
Yeah, they're all looking pretty consistent, other than Murphy Nichols. If you look at the fast lap times, Murphy's got the slowest lap so far, other than Joaquin Effinger, who's a lap down. So even Sean Hayes, who's actually looks like he's re-entered the track, he's almost half a second off of that time. So I don't know if he just overcooked the tires possibly. Looks like he's got some damage possibly to the left front of that car. So that could be slowing him fairly significantly down the straights, even though it doesn't look that bad with the way the aerodynamics work. Yeah, it looks a little pushed in on the left front corner there, and he's just
and
you can get a little squirrely. Yeah, I wonder if he's actually got something bent there up front. I wonder if he's just not tracking properly on that left front tire, and it's causing him some handling issues. Because I've noticed that a couple times he's gotten real loose in places where you wouldn't normally
expect it.
Cars. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, going into 11 there again, very slippery, I guess. Not a ton of grip there, but it's flat, it's straight. It's a straight braking zone. Typically, it's not something that would upset the car all that much. You might see a tiny little wiggle as the car is on the limit, but what we just saw from Murphy was quite a bit beyond that. As we follow here, looks like Zach Burke now has separated himself out just a little bit from his teammate Jordy Fike. Burke now our hard charger, as you mentioned, did not set a qualifying time, started from the back of the pack. And he is now sitting 4th after having started 14th, tail end Charlie tonight.
Yep, up 10 places, and he is running right on pace with the leaders currently. Yeah, they're all within a couple tenths of each other, both fast laps and current laps. So unless they get another mistake from the front 2 or 3, maybe it's gonna be pretty difficult to close that 3.5 second gap to the top 3.
Yeah, that is huge. As with now just a little bit over 9 minutes remaining in this 20-minute race, just to recap here, Giancarlo Schooler is your leader, and he's extended that lead out now to about 2.5 seconds, so almost a full second since the last time we looked in. And Wanshi Lin, who early on had been battling it out with Jamison Huffman for second place. Well, he is now only about 2.5, maybe 3 car lengths back from the 89 machine, and it looks like it is going to be a battle for that last step on the podium. Once again, Zach Burke, as we mentioned, now up in 4th position, Jordy Fike 5th, and Murphy Nichols sitting in 6th, Beans Forster in 7th. And Forster right on the tail of Nichols, as Nichols had managed to pick the spot back up from the 231 machine. A lap after Forster had got around him at the hairpin. Nichols returns the favors, and then Charles Vaccaro in the 221 machine. He is sitting right on the tail end of Beans Forster. Great little battle going on there for 6th, with Sanchinelli and Greenfield sitting a little bit further back in 9th and 10th.
Yeah, Vaccaro's sitting back there like a shark in shallow water, just waiting for somebody to stub their toe on a rock. I tell you what, he is just sitting there watching these two battle it out. They're pretty much just swapping mistakes at the moment, getting out front and then being a little inconsistent, as you see, taking 2 wheels into the grass there as Beans Forrester. They're going to go too wide into the corkscrew.
And Vaccaro's just going to sit there and wait to see which one he can follow through. Actually, they made it work. But I think we can realize here that Vaccaro sitting at the tail end as the cameraman, probably also looking for an opportunity looking for where these guys are making mistakes. But as you can see here, they're having some car control issues seemingly at every turn complex here. So we'll see what Vaccaro can do. I think he's still got a little bit of time and a couple laps to determine when to pounce. As we jump back to the battle for 2nd right now, Jamison Huffman driving that blue, red, and white number 89 machine. Wanshi Lin in the orange and white number 30.
Yeah, and Huffman actually ran 7/10 slower than Wanshi Lin that last lap. The draft is strong. I don't know if it's that strong, so there must have been a small bobble, something like that. Wanshi is definitely going to take any advantage he can get, and he is right on his bumper coming into turn 5, I believe. Go ahead.
And For a moment there, he was going to look like he might maybe trying to get in the Huffman's head just a little bit, poked to the inside, and then I think realized he wasn't far enough up alongside there. And now as Huffman, it looks like he doesn't get a great run out of turn 6 heading up the Ray Hall Straight, but Wan Chi Lin not in a position to do anything about it at the moment. But looks like in many places Lin has a much better exit speed than the 89 car. The 89 car is starting to get a little defensive.
And realistically, that's the benefit of running behind another car, is you're able to break just a little bit earlier and carry a lot more of that apex speed and get the faster exit to make the pass, whereas the person in front is just pushing and not get caught in the braking zone as he thinks about it going into the last corner, thinks about the dive bomb. But it's a really difficult position that Jamison's in. You know, you really have to find your rhythm up front when you're driving in front of a, you know, you're so closely matched. So you're trying to maximize, but you don't want to go too slow on entry, because then he's just gonna, you know, be able to send it down on you. But it's just compromises and seeing what happens as he takes the defensive line into the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, and we'll see here as this is going to compromise his exit speed as well. You know, but again, a little difficult to get a great run out of the Andretti hairpin into turn 3. I mean, the run is just so short there. There's really not much you can do with it. I think where we're going to see, and we should watch here, maybe heading through turn 4, heading up to turn 5, and this is where Lin had a great run before, and he had gone to poke the car to the inside. We'll see if he tries it again, and there he goes. But once again, realizes he's not going to get far enough up the inside, can't really affect Huffman's line through turn 5 all that much. I think, you know, maybe the hope was to maybe loosen the 89 up a little bit and have him run wide, but didn't look like it was going to happen. Speaking of running wide, Lin taking a little bit of dirt drivers right there over that expansive curbing.
Yeah, and he's definitely, he at the very least, he's in his mirrors. There's a big orange and white car in Jamison Huffman's mirrors right now, and it'll, you know, it'll definitely rally it. The good news is, you know, drivers are, you know, respect each other up and down the field, so he knows he's not going to try something dumb, but it definitely puts the pressure on, as I was saying. And he's, you know, I'm sure Wanshi already noticed a couple times that Jamison maybe missed the apex, carried a little bit too much speed. So the more he can make Jamison doubt his braking point, the better chance he's going to have at getting by on the next straight or into the next large braking zone.
All right, and here we go as we now have 3.5 minutes left to go in this 20-minute Spec Miata battle, heading down into turn 1 once again. Huffman maintaining a defensive line, and Wan Chi Lin, nothing really he can do about it at that point. You know, we've discussed that, you know, if you try and go around the outside, you're just carrying a lot more distance, and the return on the investment there not very good heading into turn 3. So Lin is going to follow the 89 car through turns 3 and 4 one more time, and this time, Tyler, not quite as close. And I think I also just saw the windshield wipers going, which for a sunny day in Northern California, I don't know if it's really necessary.
That's very, very interesting. Windshield wipers. I wonder why we'd have windshield wipers. I thought they had windshield tear-offs.
That's what I thought. Well, there we go. You learn something new every day in iRacing, I guess. As we jump back over to this battle for 6th with Murphy Nichols, Beans Forster, and Charles Vaccaro. He hasn't pounced yet. He's still there. And, you know, I guess that's the challenge. You know, Laguna Seca, not the widest track ever. And you know, very well suited to multiple motorcycles running side by side, but a little difficult to go 3 wide here at the dry lagoon. And Vaccaro hasn't tried to force the issue as of yet, as we jump back to this battle for the lead, as we now have just under 2 minutes remaining. And with these laps running at about 1:38, and Giancarlo Schooler having already started a lap here, should get the white flag this next time by. And there you go, as Wan Chi Lin manages for the moment to get around the 89 car, but the 89 car, he resets, moves to the outside, tries to run around Wan Chi Lin on the outside, and he may have position now coming into turn number 3. A great defense on a move put on by Wan Chi Lin. Maybe started that move a little bit early, Tyler.
Yeah, that was a great. I thought to mention it earlier. That's how you make a pass on the outside of the Andretti hairpin. You have to keep it there and make them compromise their exit so you can get the inside of the next corner. And they're going to go probably side by side a couple times for the next lap and a half here at Laguna Seca.
And here we go, as Lynn is trying once again to force Huffman off the line, try to get defensive on what are normally some very quick corners here at Laguna Seca. Once again, another one here, and going through turn 6 and heading up the Rahal Straight, that long rise up to the highest part on the track at the hairpin, probably at the corkscrew, pardon me. And once again, at least coming out of turn 6, it looks like Huffman is able to, and perhaps because of the speed through there, able to take his traditional line, doesn't get very defensive. And once again, we see the 30 of Wan Chi Lin try to come down the inside, but Huffman holds him off and is able to hold his line. As Giancarlo Schooler now, with only 15 seconds remaining on the 20-minute clock, he is going to cross the stripe and he is going to start his final lap here for round number 1 for the Spec Miatas at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And here we go. You said it, Tyler. Side by side coming down into Andretti. And let's see whether or not Wan Chi Lin, who goes and decides to open the corner up as much as possible, he's going to try to stay side by side with Huffman. But the big difference there, as opposed to the lap before, is it seemed almost as if Lin was unconcerned with where Huffman was and just wasn't trying to stay at his door, and ended up, taking a lot more pavement than maybe he really needed to.
Yeah, and it looks like Huffman carried a little bit more speed than Wan Chi Lin did there, and forced him to go a little bit wider and take the extra long way around in this case. And so really just didn't want to get into an incident there, and I don't blame him.
All right, as they head up the hill now for the very last time towards turn 6, should we note the lurking of Zach Burke in that number 13 machine? Not all that far back from that battle for third. Of course, time is running out. Only have a half a lap left to go here, as Wan Chi Lin is going to force the matter going into the corkscrew, has to jump back to the inside, and you can see there as the car just kind of grabs right at the second apex, but only now 2 more corners. Wan Chi Lin, he runs wide. Zach Burke, he's making up some ground. He may be able to get there towards the end, but now as we come on to the final corner, onto the front straight, Giancarlo Schooler, driver of the number 111 Team All Sports Racer Machine, he is going to take the win, finishing second in a drag race to the checkered flag, the 89 machine of Jamison Huffman. Wan Chi Lin, he'll come home in third. Zach Burke, great run for Zach, making up 10 positions. He's going to come home just off the podium in fourth. Jordy Fike will finish in fifth. Beans Forster manages to get around manages not only to get around. Here, let's reset that, as Murphy Nichols appears to have had some issues on the very last lap, and looks like he's going to finish this race from the pit lane there, as Beans Forster comes home in 6th, Charles Vaccaro comes home in 7th, Edgar Sanchinelli comes home in 8th, Deacon Greenfield 9th, and Murphy Nichols manages from the pit lane to finish in 10th position. All right, so we should hopefully have here in a few minutes, Tyler, a few moments, our podium finishers from Spec Miata. But great finish, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It was unfortunate. I saw Murphy Nichols spin coming to the white flag, giving up those positions, and that was some great fair racing from Wan Chi and Jamison both.
All right, well, tell you what, we've got now Jamison Huffman, driver of the number 89 machine, finishing second tonight in the Mazda MX-5s here in round 1 for those MX-5s.
Hey, Jameson. So I'm very interested. You seem to have some very intelligent moves there on the defense from Wan Chi Lin. What was going through your mind there? As he seemed to be getting better exits than you, but you were able to keep him out of the inside line.
I definitely messed up my exit sometimes, but it started when I hit the sausage curb and the fast left, because that made a massive dent in my front left fender, and I was losing so much time on the straight. So I just kind of did what I did and sat on the most inside line for what I could hold before he got there, and just kind of hoped it worked and tried to make him really work for the move.
Yeah, it seemed to really have worked for you. It was a great move around the outside that you made in the Andretti hairpin. I think that probably sealed the deal for you there. But anybody you'd like to thank for your second place finish tonight?
I'd like to thank my parents and Stevie for setting up this league again. It's going to be a lot of fun. Got to balance this with real life racing now because I'm doing quite a bit of racing next weekend, running 2 groups. You guys for broadcasting, and of course my teammates and JC for a wonderful setup.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the real life drive, and we'll see you in the SRFs, I assume.
Yep. Thanks.
All right, there you go. Jamison Huffman finishing second tonight in the Spec Miatas. Now let's move over to our winner, Giancarlo Schooler, coming home with victory in round 1 in the number 111 car.
Well, Giancarlo, you know how to make it look easy. I'll tell you what. It was an amazing start from there. You just had to let everybody behind you make whatever mistakes they're going to make, and you kind of just drove a pretty clean race. How was it up there at the front? We didn't honestly watch you very much after that.
Yeah, it wasn't the most exciting race, unfortunately, but yeah, I was pretty confident going into it. Felt good. Did a lot of practice here the past few weeks, doing week 13 stuff and week 12 stuff. So I was pretty confident. Just ran my race. Jameson made a mistake behind me, and he got a hefty bit of damage. And then after that, I just drove clean, drove consistent, and that's all I really took to get the win.
All right. Well, congratulations. Looks like your setup is doing pretty good there. Anybody you'd like to thank before you head on over if you're doing SRF?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my girlfriend, my parents for always supporting me, the guys at Team Watson Racing, and the guys at Delta Sport. That's about it. Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. Giancarlo Schooler, pardon me, your winner tonight in Spec Miata. I don't know if we will see him in just a few minutes in the Spec Racer Fords. But before we do that, why don't we take a quick break? We're going to thank some of our sponsors, and when we return, we will have we'll have qualifying and that 20-minute run to the checker for the Spec Racer Fords. You are watching week number 1 of this summer tour of the Esports Racing League, presented by Spec Racer Sports, Alliance Autosport, and Grassroots Motorsports Magazine here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
All right, and we are back here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for week 1 of season 6 of the Esports Racing League. It's the summer tour. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Tyler Campbell, and thanks again for joining us here tonight, Tyler.
Yeah, no problem, Greg. It's always a pleasure, and you're just glad that the F4s aren't running tonight, or else it'd be a conflict of interest, I think.
There we go. Yes, it would be, and it would be a very difficult conflict for you if you had to call these races and race at the same time. But as we've got our Spec Racer Fords out on track right now for their 15-minute qualifying session, as you can see, we're just about a little bit under halfway through the qualifying session, and we only have 6 drivers of about 15 or so that have managed to set times so far. Let's take a look back at last season, where Caleb Patry was your regular season champion, and he repeated as the Spec Racer Ford regular season champion. He also won season 4. Morgan Burkhardt finished second, and Jamison Huffman, who we just talked to a few moments ago, he finished third in class, much like he did in Spec Miata. And for our runoffs that we held at the beautiful, historic Watkins Glen International in Spec Racer Ford, Morgan Burkhardt took the win, as he did in all 3 classes that evening. Zhao Lu finished in second. Jamison Huffman took the last step on the podium. He finished third, with John Vogel and Brian Schmaltz finishing just out of the money, again, at Watkins Glen International. But here, as we now take a look, as more times are coming in, Wanshi Lin is your provisional pole sitter, and he's got a couple of wins to his name here in the Ray Esports Racing League, and also the Ray Esports Run Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford League as well. And I'll tell you, Tyler, and watching him in that Spec Miata race, he is definitely picking up some skills in the Spec Miatas, and he's looking, I think, a lot better on that chassis than we've seen him the past 2 seasons. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was running up at the front very consistently. Other than the one mistake getting the slowdown, he was definitely up there fighting for the win. And that's great to see, especially when you have a driver jumping back and forth between the two. And I've seen a couple drivers having issues, as we see here. JC just getting it wrong. The rear end of these cars get real live when you're coming through a lot of these fast corners. You just get a little bit of that lift of the throttle, and then the rear end goes light.
And the rear end goes right around on you. Now, it's not in this Gen 3 spec. It's not as bad as it used to be with the aluminum motors, aluminum block and aluminum head motors sitting in the back there. They weigh a lot less than the previous generation of Spec Racer Fords that had the old iron block 1.9 liter Ford motors, and those things would just turn into a giant pendulum as you took your foot off the go pedal.
Yeah.
But it's still obviously problematic, and with this track, the way the way some of these corners just drop away from you. You really have to be very careful with how smooth your not only your inputs to the gas pedal are, but how smoothly you remove your foot from the gas pedal. As well as it looks like we had a driver off there over at turn 6. I wonder if that was John Vogel. And John was actually our, as we mentioned, finished just out of the points at the runoffs in Spec Racer Ford, but and is a Spec Racer Ford driver in real life as well. So we'll see here right now. He is currently qualified fourth, but let's take a look. Wan Qilin, your provisional pole sitter, almost a full half second up on Zach Burke in the number 13 machine. But good to see Zach coming out and qualifying for this group. Jamison Huffman currently third fastest with John Vogel, and good to see John Wilson back with us as well, driving the number 82 machine. He is currently fifth fastest. Now we've got a couple other Spec Racer Ford racers in the field in real life, including now I believe Josh Justice.
Yep. Josh Justice
is not a full-time, but is a long-time Spec Racer Ford racer, and Charles Vaccaro in the 221 machine. Also, that is his, I believe, his platform of choice as well.
Yep, and Josh Justice is here in North Texas with me and Stevie, and I would say he should give me a shot at the Spec Racer Ford, but honestly, I don't want to put it into a wall or do a couple pirouettes. I don't think that'd be very nice, because my track record with these is like, yeah, I'll try it. Why did I try it? And that's always how it goes. It's so hard to drive these cars in the limit. And Wan Shi's doing an amazing job of being half a second up in qualifying.
So there was always a joke if and again, he's not here tonight, but I guess we can talk about him since he won the runoffs. Morgan Burkhardt on the back of Morgan's and most of the All Sports Racers team in Spec Racer Ford. There's a on the very rear deck. It says Morgan's College Fund. And it goes back to a very long time ago where his father, and I hope John doesn't shoot me for this, where his father was renting or borrowing a friend's Spec Racer Ford, and may have gotten into a bit of an incident with it and another car. And the joke was that Morgan's College Fund was going towards repairing that Spec Racer Ford, and when his father John returned to racing Spec Racer Fords, that miraculously appeared on the back of his race car.
Excellent.
So there's a bit of a history there.
Yep. And I'd take it if I had any college fund left, I'd be spending it on all sorts of race cars.
You and me both. You and me both, and that's sad because I've got two race cars that are in different states of repair about 300 miles north of me right now that I need to work on. All right, so let's take a look here as we've got just over 2 minutes remaining in qualifying. It continues to be the Wan Qilin game here, I guess. The number 30 machine continues to hold on to provisional pole, and Zach Burke has not been able to find any additional speed. It is still just under 5/10 that separates Wan Qilin from the rest of the field, and you can see there as the number 13 machine goes around coming out of turn number 10. Not going to make it up on this lap. He's going to have to get that car back underway. He's going to have maybe one more flying lap to take a shot at pole. And so then we've got Jamison Huffman still sitting in third position, and he is about 0.14 of a second off of Zach Burke's times. Murphy Nichols making his return to Spec Racer Ford action, currently fourth fastest in the Spoketown Brewery machine, and as we mentioned, John Wilson in the 82 machine. There he is in that blue, silver, and red special. He is currently your fifth fastest driver on track. Now here we go. We didn't see him in Spec Miata, but there's the 223 machine of that is Justin Huffman, and Justin, not a Spec Racer Ford racer by trade, but a Formula Enterprises 2 Formula Car racer by trade, and he put in a great show at our runoffs. We'll talk about that in just a second here. as I guess we have a little bit of time. I'll tell you what, why don't we throw up, Dennis, the season finishing order for the RE2 class, which we're not going to be running again this season, where John Vogel took home the season championship. Jamison Huffman finished second. Morgan Burkhardt finished third in the championship. But in the runoffs, where Morgan Burkhardt took the win, Justin Huffman, there in the 223 machine, finished on the second step of the podium, eking out a win over his son, Jamison Huffman, who finished in third. And I would imagine, because I believe both of their sim rigs are literally feet apart, and we've heard stories of them not only talking to one another, but maybe even exerting a little violence upon one another during some of these sessions. We'll see how things play out here tonight in Spec Racer Ford, and Jordy Fike and Deacon Greenfield finished just out of the money at the runoffs, finishing fourth and fifth. All right, so checkered flag is out on the session. It is Wanshi Lin, Zach Burke, Jamison Huffman, your top three. Murphy Nichols, who is currently sitting in the pit lane, fourth fastest, as we watch right now the 700 machine of Joaquin Effinger. He has not, along with Deacon Greenfield, has not managed to set a time here in qualifying, and unless he gets a good lap in, he may be starting 14th this evening. So we'll see if the number 36 machine can keep that. He's only got about another 400 feet. Let's see if he can put a time in on this final lap. And no, he does not. He does not get a good time in. It looks like he's going to start 14th tonight. Deacon Greenfield, who was in the same position, he did manage to eke out a time. But it looks like he's only going to start 12th here. All right, before we run down the starting grid tonight, let's take a look at our sponsor for tonight's second race, and that is Spec Racer Sports. For season number 6, we'd like to welcome back Spec Racer Sports, and their mission is to help fuel and support your addiction to road racing. They feel that the way to accomplish this is by providing exceptional customer support, the parts and services you need when you need them at a fair, competitive price. Spec Racer Sports currently stables Spec Racer Fords and offers rentals that are exceptionally prepared. They're located trackside at Motorsports Ranch Houston, and they provide access to the track for a rental or a test drive. They can all be easily arranged. In addition to new car sales, storage, and support, Spec Racer Sports offers a complement of technical services such as chassis dyno work, driver coaching, and fabrication, all at competitive rates. To find out more about Spec Racer Sports and their services, head on over to specracersports.com. All right, so Tyler, let's go. I think we've got the starting grid ready to go here, hopefully in just a moment. I think we're waiting for Deacon Greenfield to head back. There we go. We're all ready. I'll take the starting grid for race number 2, where Wanshi Lin, driver of the number 30 machine, he is your pole sitter tonight with a fast time, 1:35.568. Zach Burke, 4800s off the pole, starting on the outside of row number 1. Row number 2 is going to be made up of Jamison Huffman driving the number 8 machine and Murphy Nichols in the number 5. Row number 3, Edgar Sanchinelli in the Frito Sport Racing number 57 machine. John Wilson will start next to him in 6th. John Vogel will start 7th tonight with a row mate there of Charles Vaccaro starting in 8th position. Making up row number 5 tonight is going to be Justin Huffman in the 223 machine, and Jordy Fike will start right next to him in 10th. Starting 11th tonight, Josh Justice will start right beside Deacon Greenfield. Justice in the 99, Greenfield in the number 36. And then let's take a look at our final rows. Wayne Buttermore, he's going to start 13th tonight. On the inside of row number 7, Joaquin Effinger. What a surprise starting next to Wayne Buttermore. He's going to start 14th tonight. And then Giancarlo Schooler, who did not set a time in the 111 machine, our winner from race number 1. He's going to be starting at the tail end of the field in 15th.
Yeah, it looks like he disconnected right at the middle of their qualifying. So I think he was like, yeah, you know what? I'd rather not be a nuisance. So definitely something I've considered before. Like, let's race. Let's not race. I don't want to ruin somebody else's drive here.
Well, there you go. So unfortunately, we're not going to have Giancarlo Schooler out here tonight for our second race, but we're getting ready for that pace car to get rolling. And I don't see Jamison Huffman trying to leapfrog the field from the from the grid here as we did earlier. I think we're still waiting for one driver. That's Charles Vaccaro to join the grid, and time is running kind of short.
Yeah, the pace car is really taking its time there.
Yeah,
very interesting. I've never seen the pace car just wait. It waited about 15 seconons there.
There you go. And well, I think maybe maybe the pace car driver was a little worried that on the outside of row number 1 there, that maybe Zach Burke was going to take an early victory lap. I don't know, but Zach Burke got a little bit of a jump on the pace car, and he falls back, and he's going to start putting some heat in the tires. Maybe he was looking for the same start that he got in race number 1 this evening. I don't know.
Yeah, really got to get it off the line early. You really got to surprise that pace car. You never know.
That's right. As
Wake them up in there.
That's right. As we've got the field now making their way around the course here. Trying to get some heat in those tires, get some heat in the brakes. You can see a couple of the drivers maybe starting to scrub from left to right. I think probably get a little better action by dragging the tires a little bit, or getting on and off the throttle, on and off the brakes. And you'll see as they go up the hill, even some of those brake lights coming on, Tyler.
Yep, definitely. And there's been a lot of controversy with that in iRacing as well. That's obviously not in this case where you have a responsible amount of getting the heat in the tires, and not what the exploit was. It was just basically driving like full throttle with the brakes on at 40 miles an hour, whatever it was. Something ridiculous that blow up everything in the car. But yeah, very, very good technique. Basically, once those brakes stop squealing, you're just about good to go, and gets the inside of the carcass warmed up nice, gets it nice and pliable, allows you to get a little bit extra slip angle in the car. Makes it real good. But if you do it wrong and those surface temps are hot, you're ready for a surprise in turn 1, because that car will start to slide.
Yeah, you've already overheated the tires. The brakes might be ready, but the tires may not be ready for all the action. All right, to the pace car now, makes that quick short right hand move over to the pit lane, and Wan Chi Lin has the field. Zach Burke, you see there, had the check up very quickly there. Didn't want to beat Wan Chi Lin to the line. Green flag is in the air as Huffman looks for a quick way around, and he's going to just now push Wan Chi Lin down on the inside lane. We saw Murphy Nichols there in the red, white, and blue machine just to the outside of Zach Burke, as most of our drivers stay 2 by 2 heading down into the Andretti hairpin, and both Lin and Huffman, they're going to be able to push past the 13 of Zach Burke. Right behind him now, side by side, Edgar Sanchinelli with a great little start there. But Sanchinelli, as quickly as I say that, he's off into the dirt coming out of turn number 3, and he's going to fall to the tail end of the field, Tyler.
Yeah, that's real unfortunate. Where you talked about a lot of the turns on the edge drop off. There's some nice compressions, and they put a little bit of banking in these corners. But as soon as you get to those outside curves, it really goes off camber on you, and especially with these cars, like we said, it'll go around like nothing.
There you go. And so Wan Chi Lin leads the field onto the Ray Hall straight, that long uphill run to the corkscrew. As quickly as you head up, you start to make your way right back down, and it is, for the moment, a 3-car breakaway, as Zach Burke has managed to clear himself of Murphy Nichols, who I think got caught up a little bit when Sanchinelli went off. But for the moment, it's Lin, Huffman, and Burke. Then about another 7 car lengths back to Murphy Nichols and the number 15 of John Wilson, Jordy Fike, and John Vogel in that black number 4 as well. A little bit of a surprise that Josh Justice currently sitting in 8th with Justin Huffman. Now Justice made up 3 positions there on lap number 1, and I think maybe the big change here is Charles Vaccaro, who did not make it to the grid in time. He may be having some equipment issues, Tyler, because we had him there on track for a few moments, and as quickly as he joined, we're showing him as being back in the pits.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate when that happens. It's just completely out of your control. It's kind of, it's similar to equipment failure in real life. It's sim racing, it's going to happen. And so we actually have an incident back that Josh Justice, I believe, had a slide, and I think Deacon Greenfield got into him there. looks like it's gonna end both of their races potentially here.
Yeah, a lot of damage in the back of the number 99 machine, but he is back underway. As far as Deacon Greenfield, the number 36 machine, he's fallen all the way back. Let's take a look at the replay here. And looks
so
like
that was Jordy Fike. That was
Yeah.
Jordy Fike spinning there, but here we're gonna see Josh Justice. Yeah, he's gonna loop it on entry. Just a classic SRF, and he's gonna unfortunately just nowhere to go.
Yeah, as he decided to get back underway, came right across the bow of Deacon Greenfield. And yeah, for the speed that Greenfield was carrying through that corner, there was nothing that he could do about it. As we take a look now, and two huge battles. We've got this battle for the lead right now with Wan Shi Lin, Jamison Huffman, and then Zach Burke. And then it is about I'd say about 30 car lengths back, but we had coming out of turn 9 out of the rainy curve. What did I say during the first race? That, you know, it's kind of uncommon to go 3 wide here at WeatherTech Raceway. Well, we had John Wilson, we had John Vogel, and we had Murphy Nichols coming through the downhill, kind of slowish rainy curve coming out of the corkscrew. Side by side, all 3 of them. It looks like Justice and Vogel Wilson and Vogel were able to clear themselves a little bit of Murphy Nichols, who's now sitting back in 6th. But a great fight there. If anything, yeah, maybe keeping them from getting up to our leaders, as there's currently about 5 seconds separating those 2 packs. A little bit further back, though, as we can see here, Jordy Fike, who had that spin on the last lap, he has now managed to work himself clear of the 700 of Effinger, and then also Edgar Sanchinelli in the 57 machine. Effinger, having made up 5 positions since the start, you know, not able to put in a qualifying time, but he is running very well right now as he and Sanchinelli are going at it up the hill towards turn 6.
Yep, and we got the leaders going side by side, going down through the corkscrew right now as well. Jamison Huffman really trying to put a move on Wan Shi Lin there. And Zach Burke's just waiting back. There's really nothing he can do at the moment. You know, you got 2 cars vying for the only potential racing lines on the track here. And Jamison was lucky not to lose that position, but they're still nose to tail.
Here we go, and I guess the tables are turned now as Wan Shi Lin, the lead car with Jamison Huffman in the rear. We've got Zach Burke going around, spins the car at turn 11, coming onto the front straight, and he moves as quickly as he can to the inside so that all of those cars that couldn't spot him coming through turn 11 don't impact them. Let's take a look at the replay here as they came out of 10. Got hard under braking going into 11, and where did he lose it? Turned in maybe a little early, it looks like, and had the rear end walk around on him.
Yeah, just carrying a touch too much speed, and it's, like I said, it's very, very small amount of extra speed he could be carrying, and he's essentially gone to the tail end of the longest line here, the fight for what is now 3rd place, with John Wilson being the big winner out of that Murphy Nichols and John Vogel fight there. He's made up 2 positions from where he started, and both of them were essentially in 1 corner.
That's it. And now on the last lap, we had seen where Murphy Nichols had issues, had a long run through the gravel, and as you mentioned, that moved him now back behind John Vogel in that black number 4 machine. But right now, John Wilson sitting in the money, sitting in 3rd, as we've got our leaders now side by side coming down into the corkscrew as Huffman tries to get underneath Wan Shi Lin, and he does manage to take over the lead, give it to the 89 car of Jamison Huffman, your new leader. Actually, it's the number 8 car, not the 89 car. But Wan Shi Lin, our pole sitter, now drops back into 2nd place. And, you know, now I am having those Groundhog Day visions of our last race, Tyler.
Yeah, and that was amazing car control with both of the drivers, being able to take it 2 wide through the corkscrew in these cars. You know, obviously, you get to the top of that corner, the car get really, really light until you get back down into the compression, and then keeping it under control too wide is just great to see. As you see here, Murphy Nichols trying to go down the inside of John Vogel here going into turn 1.
All right, and here we go, and perhaps the only thing stopping that charge is the 82 machine of John Wilson, and right now it looks like Nichols is going to manage to hold on, get around John Vogel, to give him now 4th position, with Vogel tightly behind, and Zach Burke there sitting in the 13. Now we notice that Zach Burke has now managed to get around Justin Huffman, Jamison's father, so move Justin Huffman down in the 7th. Not a bad run for him. He's made up 2 positions since the start of the race, so we can see that number 4 coming down from a long way back, Tyler. You know, obviously there, I think Murphy Nichols saw him, but I don't think John Wilson would have really seen the number 4 coming down all that distance to the inside.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think that's less of a trying to put a move on and trying not to get past here, as Zach Burke is going to come charging right back through.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with Murphy Nichols. I think it's more of a let's run away from Zach Burke because we know he's coming.
There you go. And it looks like going off track again, Jordy Fike in that Team Esport Racer machine. Not the strongest outing for him in week number 1. Has his 2nd off of the night, and he is currently sitting in 9th position, although he did start 10th. So still up 1 full position as we jump back to the battle for the lead. And it looks like Wan Chi Lin, he's managed to wrestle the lead back from Jamison Huffman as they complete lap number 5 and starting lap number 6 here, heading down into Andretti Hairpin.
Yeah, it's just great battles all around, both for 1st and 2nd, and at this point 3rd through 5th. 3rd through 7th, actually, I believe that is. Yeah.
Yeah, look at this. As Wilson runs very wide. Very, very wide. They're coming through Andretti and Zach Burke. And no contact there, but Zach Burke and Murphy Nichols as they came through turn number 3. And Nichols took to the dirt, lost the position now, so moves Zach Burke back up into 4th. But Murphy Nichols looking to return the favor. Going through turn number 5, comes right around Zach Burke as they head up the hill, and I don't think Burke's done yet. I think Burke knows better than to go through too wide over at turn 6. So that is one corner. If you don't get that groove right at the apex, you can end up pretty much on the side of the mountain.
Yeah, it's bad news in any car. That's a no way car specific, and yeah, and we're seeing a couple incidents here and there. You know, this is the first race of the season. We've been away for a couple weeks, so just everybody getting that rust off. You know, just even from practicing qualifying here to the race, we're seeing a lot less, loops and spins around. Like, yeah, we got a couple, but everybody's keeping it neat and tidy, and it's really good to see. I think we'll have some great action as the season progresses.
I agree here as we're now halfway through our Spec Racer Ford race here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And, that little bit of battling between Murphy Nichols and Zach Burke, and I guess we could add John Vogel into that as well. It's given a little bit of breathing room to the 82 machine of John Wilson. Oh, as Burke and Nichols, they get together going through the Andretti hairpin. And for the 2nd time tonight, Zach Burke spins the car. Looked as though there might have been some contact there, Tyler.
Yeah, there was definitely some contact. We'll see on the replay here. Murphy made a huge mistake leaving the door open. I just don't think he expected Zach Burke to be there. And so he kind of took his normal line. Maybe Zach got in a little bit hot and bumped the sausage. Yeah, it's not really much you can do. I think it was just a miscommunication and a racing incident, but
That's right. Yeah, and you saw Zach Burke there. He got that red sausage curb at the first apex at Andretti, and lifted the car up just a little bit. And I think whatever margin might have been there between he and Murphy Nichols at that point just disappeared. So it is now in the battle for 4th position. John Vogel, who definitely took advantage of the misfortune of both Zach Burke and Murphy Nichols. John Vogel now moves up into 4th in the number 4 machine. Murphy Nichols in the 5 machine. This gets easy for me now. Murphy Nichols in the number 5 car, running in 5th as we jump back to that battle for the lead.
Yeah, it's going back to the Zach Burke Murphy Nichols incident. Yeah, it's real hard. You noticed Murphy kind of taking his normal racing line there and basically leaving the door open. In that case, you saw Jamison do a real good job of defending that inside and just absolutely holding it there on the inside. Just not allowing anybody to get there just eliminates the possibility of anybody being able to try to make a move down on the inside of the Andretti hairpin. I think that's paramount, really, when you're trying to defend.
All right, and Murphy Nichols now making a run down the pit lane, and he is going to rejoin. So perhaps a little bit of damage there. Took the quick repair, or take the fast repair, and he is now back out on course. And as we were watching our 2 leaders, Wan Chi Lin and Jamison Huffman as they came through. Andretti hairpin that last time. Deacon Greenfield, who's had some issues in the number 36 machine, he went a little wide to let those leaders through, and you can see him there just kind of poking in as he came up through turn 6. So let's follow our leaders as they come down through the corkscrew. And once again now it's maybe a little different. It's for the number 30 car for Wanqi Lin. We'll see how defensive he gets here. Again, as we saw the draft in the Spec Miatas, the draft just as strong here in the Spec Racer Fords. Amazing how when these cars and these body styles were first designed back in the mid 80s, how I think at the time they never saw a wind tunnel, but that probably made things easier. It made for some better racing because they put some very big holes in the air, especially with that big duckbill in the back, as we saw where Jamison Huffman was able to draft right up to the back of Wanqi Lin and puts on the moves coming through the hairpin and coming through turn 3. And so now Jamison Huffman moves back to the lead. He was there for a moment back on lap number 3, but Jamison Huffman now with just over 6.5 minutes remaining, he is your new leader.
Yeah, we're gonna have to name that the Jamison hairpin from now on. He's made 2 passes in 2 separate cars on 2 separate race occasions on the outside, which as we talked about, not
on the same person defending, and you'd hope that I'm sure Wanqi Lin, I don't know if he's gonna let somebody pull that move on him a third time.
Yeah, that's the thing, and the only real way to defend against it, is you gotta just push him a little wide.
Push him wide.
You'll notice that Jamison went around the outside and then kept him from pushing out wide and actually getting the more.
He's, certainly a very conscientious driver. Does not typically get his elbows out. I remember the Spec Racer Ford race at Summit Point Raceway last season, where he and Zhao Lu were practically side by side for the entire last lap, never touched, and ran a very, very clean race.
Yeah, and I don't if you noticed John Vogel there, I heard him in the chat. He seems to have had some issues with hardware. It looks like his VR headset. So he's unfortunately had to drop out of 4th position, and that goes to Jamison Justin Huffman. I pulled a U, and I've now confused them. And so Zach Burke about 2 seconds back from 4th place there. So he's still trying to make his charge back up with only just under 5 minutes remaining.
That's right. Very unfortunate for John Vogel. He had a couple of those VR issues last season as well, if I recall. All right, so let's take a look now, heading up the hill towards the corkscrew. Once again, Wanqi Lin all over the back of the number 8 machine of Huffman. And again, Lin is going to be forced to move to the outside going into the corkscrew. That will put him down at the first to hit the apex as they exit, and Wanqi Lin now retakes the lead from Jamison Huffman as we are looking to complete our 11th lap here with now just 4 minutes remaining from WeatherTech Raceway. But great show that these guys have put on now as they've now opened up almost a 12-second advantage on the rest of the field.
And a very scary moment for Jamison. I don't know if you saw it, but he was darn near sideways, but actually at that point in the corkscrew, he was probably 90 degrees pointing away from the next apex. With the rear end getting real loose on him there. So
very loose. And there's
very
Lin.
Hard to catch it.
And you'll notice there, I think Lin realized he had enough room there. He took his traditional line into Andretti, and Huffman didn't try to force the issue. I think also again realized maybe he was 3/4 of a car length back. It would have meant really taking a late lunge to try and loosen up the number 30 car.
Yeah, and again in these cars, there's no real such thing as a late lunge. A late lunge is you're going to spin it at the apex trying to get it through the corner. Let's see. And looks like Zach Burke's only about a second back from Justin Huffman. Other than this battle, that's really the only thing I'm seeing close. Walking Evans and Wayne Buttermore seem to be having their usual scrap down here on Main Street as well. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, other than Murphy Nichols maybe pulling up on Jordy Fike at about a second and a half back, and that's the battle for seventh. I think you're right here. Yeah, even Joaquin Effinger and Joaquin Effinger and Wayne Buttermore, they were within striking distance of one another, but you can see right there the tail end of the action as Joaquin Effinger in the 700 machine, he goes off. So that fight with Wayne Buttermore is now over, and Charles Vaccaro, who started from the pit lane, and apparently has been having some equipment issues himself. He now moves up to 11th, having gotten around Effinger in that spin.
I was real surprised. I see that blue and red car coming through, Charles Vaccaro, and I'm like, oh, there he is. He's appeared. He's like a phantom for the first half of the race.
That's right. All right. Well, look at that as we just jumped away. Zach Burke pulled up right to the back of Justin Huffman as they come down towards the hairpin, and we'll see what happens now as Zach Burke returns to the scene of the crime, and he saw the rear end of the car step out maybe just a little bit on him, but Justin Huffman gives him plenty of racing room there. As we jump back to the battle for the lead, and look at this as they come up the hill, as they come up Ray Hall, Jamison Huffman, he retakes the lead.
Yeah, he retakes it. Yeah, they're just swapping it back and forth almost 2 times a lap at this point. And, they are running down on time. They probably got about another lap. Should take the white flag this time by, I believe.
That should be, as they have less than a minute remaining. And am I the only... Oh!
He's not going to catch it that time.
No, and Huffman, he goes around entering the corkscrew right in front of Wan Chi Lin. Wan Chi Lin gets maybe a little extra love tap in there to send Huffman around, but that is going to drop him almost 3 seconds back from our leader. I was just going to say, do you think it's a little bit odd that Jamison Huffman, a Spec Miata driver in real life, driving a Spec Racer Ford in the virtual world, has VTEC written on the back of his Spec Racer Ford? Let's take a look at the replay here as Huffman goes in deep into the corkscrew, and you said it, Tyler. There's no such thing as a late braking maneuver. It's just basically watching the rear end go around.
Yeah, and it looks like he caught a little bit of there's obviously, you're coming up the Ray Hall straight, and you get over that crest. You start braking really right before that crest, right where it compresses down, so you get most of your speed bled off, and then you can kind of just creep into the corner, essentially. And it looks like he caught a little bit of a jump. I noticed the car kind of just, maybe there's a small little bump there, and it looked like it just unsettled the car too much. He had to come off the brakes, and unfortunately, we had the same thing we saw, essentially with Zach Burke and half the other drivers that have spun. You just carried that little bit too much speed because the car got unsettled and just wasn't able to make it happen that time. No, 3 times the charm, not the case at the corkscrew today.
All right, well, there you go. We are now on the final lap here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for week 1 of the Ray Esports Racing League's season number 6. Wan Chi Lin, your leader, coming into, again, returning to the scene of the crime there, coming into the corkscrew, and he gets a little loose on the last apex there, but manages to gather it all back up, and it looks to be clear sailing for the number 30 machine, as he has just now 2 corners remaining here. And Jamison Huffman, it looks like he might have gotten a little bit of damage to the car when he got that love tap from the number 30 machine. As Wan Chi Lin comes onto the front straight, only another 200 feet to go, and taking the checker in round number 1 for the Spec Racer Fords, it is Wan Chi Lin. Jamison Huffman will hold on to second place, and that is his second place finish of the evening. John Wilson in the number 82 machine, he's going to bring his machine home in third. Zach Burke in perhaps the most exciting 4th place finish you will see all season. Zach Burke will come home in 4th. Justin Huffman finishes in 5th. Edgar Sanchinelli will cross the stripe in 6th. Murphy Nichols comes home in 7th, even after a run down the pit lane. Jordy Fike will finish in 8th, and it looks like Fike and Josh Justice, who is just now coming out of the final corner in that number 99 machine. Josh Justice, he will come home in 9th. And Charles Vaccaro looks as though he may have found his way around Wayne Buttermore, and still got a couple seconds left to go. Here comes Charles Vaccaro, who wasn't around for the start of this race, and I think ended up a lap down in the pit lane as he was fighting his equipment. Charles Vaccaro will bring the number 221 machine home in 10th. All right, so there you go, Tyler. Another great series of battles. And I'm still amazed and thinking about that three-wide fight that we had early on coming through the rainy curve. I didn't expect to see that here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, great battles up and down the field, like we usually see. And yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for this season. Of course, if anybody's watching this and is interested, just go to rayesportsracing.com or Ray. I've done messed it up. We have a Discord. You can join us, Ray Esports. You can Google it and you'll find it. All you need is an SCCA membership or a donation to the SCCA Foundation. We'd be glad to have you. A lot of these drivers here, as we were talking about, race both real life and in the sim. So really respectful racing all up and down the field, all skill levels included. We'd race, like I said, all the way through the field's competitive. And so, feel free to join up. We'd love to have you.
That's right. So here we'll go and correct that URL for you. It's rayesportsracing.com, and of course you'll find information about the Ray Esports Racing League and a number of other leagues that are in the same family. So taking a look, Tyler, I don't see anybody in the green room as of yet. We'll give them another couple of seconds here and to see maybe as they finish their their in laps. And maybe get get some Gatorade or something there after a hard-fought 20 minutes. In the meantime, let's take a look as well. I thought we were going to see the start again here, and here they come onto the front straight. We'll take a quick little replay of that great start. And I remember last season as we finished up here at Laguna Seca, we had both, and I think it was also Spec Racer Ford, and I think it was also the MX-5s. We had some we'll just call them kind of sketchy starts as drivers crest over the top of that little rise just after the start finish line. We'll say we had some contact and maybe some flying cars, but a great battle here coming down the hill and going into the hairpin for the very first time. And we saw there as Jamison Huffman really just tried to push the number 30 car into the lead and work clear of the number 13 of Zach Burke. Great battles.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried when I saw Jamison pushing him right over the crest. I'm like, oh no, here it comes.
That would have been the kicker for that sketchy start.
Yeah, that would have kicked it all off right from the front. You're coming over that blind in 10th place. You're gonna meet a wall in the form of a car.
Yeah, a wall of a number of cars there. All right, well, Tyler, it doesn't look like we've got anybody who wants to come join us in the commentary booth for race number 2 here, and we're coming up on that 10:30 time Eastern time. So why don't we do this? Why don't we wrap things up here? And as you mentioned, you can find out more about the Ray Esports Racing League by heading over to rayesportsracing.com. If you'd like to join us on track, as you can see, this is only week 1 of 9. Lots more racing to see this season. We're going to be at places like Road America. We're going to be next Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Mosport, Carolina. Oh my God. No, not Carolina Motorsports Park. It would be Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Going to be heading north of the border. That's June 28th. We're going to be at places like Watkins Glen Road, Atlanta, and Mid-Ohio as well. And going to be at Virginia International Raceway towards the end of August as well. And we're going to have the runoffs, probably the first and only time you're ever going to hear about the runoffs being at Summit Point Raceway at Summit Point Motorsports Park, but that's where we're going to wrap things up towards the end of August. And I know I can't wait to be back at my home track. By the way, for those of you that are, like Jamison Huffman, like Giancarlo Schooler, like Murphy Nichols, like Morgan Burkhardt, that are all going to be at Summit Point Raceway this weekend, I will see you there as I take over duties now as the staff announcer for the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series. It'll be nice to be back home. But for everybody here as part of the broadcast, Tyler Campbell and Dennis Branch, and of course, hopefully we'll have my old announcing buddy Brian Donati back with us next week when Tyler decides to get in one of those F4 Formula cars. I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next Tuesday night for the Ray Esports Racing League. at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great week, everybody.